What if I told you the best kept secret in crypto is hiding in plain sight? A cryptocurrency purpose built to solve global trade finance's biggest issue. A crypto with the clearest answer to who's actually going to use it and what does it actually do. A crypto named XDC. This video will be unlike any other cryptocurrency video you've ever seen because it's dense, it's boring. We're going to dive into how trade finance actually works, why new laws make digital original documents legal, and how turning paper into programmable documents creates real on-chain demand. If you've ever asked who will use it or what does it do, this episode shows the plumbing, the incentives, and some of the numbers. First, let's start with global trade finance, the invisible plumbing that keeps world trade flowing. It's the trust layer behind every shipment, every invoice, every deal that crosses an ocean. It's how a seller in Singapore gets paid by a buyer in London without ever meeting, and without needing to trust each other. Here's how it works. Banks issue letters of credit to guarantee payment, insurers cover the risk, shippers move cargo, customs clears it. And every step from the warehouses to the docks has depended on stacks of paper to prove who owns what and when they owned it. Until recently, those papers were physically printed, signed, and shipped. Roughly 28.5 billion trade documents every year. That's where the International Trade and Forfeiting Association, or the ITFA, stepped in. Through its DNI initiative, or Digital Negotiable Instruments, the ITFA helped modernize the legal foundation of trade. The UN's Model Law on Electronic Transferable Records, or MLETR, gave electronic trade documents the same legal weight as paper. Then, the UK took that model law and passed the Electronic Trade Documents Act that went into effect on September 20th, 2023. And since English law governs 80% of global trade, the impact is worldwide. In other words, a bill of lading, a promissory note, or a bill of exchange can now exist as a legally recognized digital asset. And that's where the future of trade truly begins, where the laws of commerce meet the technology of blockchain. Now, before we talk about blockchains and tokens, let's talk about the scale of the problem. Every year, the global trade system produces about 28.5 billion paper trade documents. A single shipment can generate dozens of documents passed between banks, shippers, insurers, ports, and customs, each waiting on a signature. Imagine converting all of those sheets of paper into digital trade documents, each legally recognized under the Electronic Trade Documents Act, where every document becomes a data object that can be issued, transferred, endorsed, and settled instantly. With that in mind, we can see who uses it and why. And really, it's everyone who already moves the world's trade. Banks use it to cut processing time from weeks to seconds. Insurers use it because digital originals can't be lost. Freight forwarders use it to eliminate delays. Regulators love it because it leaves a verifiable trail. In other words, digital documents don't just replace paper, they remove friction, cost, and delay. A process that once took 30 days can now settle in about 20 seconds. This isn't about crypto replacing banks. It's about upgrading the plumbing of global trade finance. Now, once these documents move from paper to digital and from digital to blockchain, each becomes a transaction, a creation event, a transfer of ownership, a record of payment, all secured by the blockchain, instantly verifiable and globally accessible. That's the logical next step. Legal recognition through MLETR, operational efficiency through digital documentation, and technical scalability through blockchain networks. And that's where the XDC network comes in, as the only Layer 1 blockchain formally partnered with the ITFA, already powering tokenization and transfers of these digital assets. Let's look at the scale, using about 28.5 billion trade documents per year. If each digital document averages around 5 events, one creation plus a few transfers, that's about 142.5 billion transactions a year. Even if it's only 10% of global trade that goes digital, you still have tens of billions of blockchain transactions every year. And every one of those transactions burns XDC. That's not speculation, that's utility driven demand. Now, a quick note on value. I think value is a human construct. We assign it where scarce things do useful work at scale. Here, demand isn't driven by speculation, it's driven by utility. Every legally recognized digital document that's issued, transferred, or settled consumes XDC. That makes XDC a scarce, productive asset at the base layer of global trade document flows. This is a fundamentally different driver of value than the usual crypto speculation narrative. It's usage that burns, not hype that hopes. And we've only covered document flows. We haven't even touched on the collateralization of real-world assets, credit markets, or money market rails moving onto the same network. When those stack on top of the document utility, the base layer demand story compounds. I want you to keep in mind that with this utility-driven demand, it doesn't really matter what the world's economies or markets are doing. Global trade will continue to flow, which means documents will be created, transferred, and XDC will be burned to get them from point A to point B. Before we wrap, I want to emphasize that paper is the bottleneck. Billions of physical documents are slowing trade with cost, errors, and delay. New laws make digital originals legally valid. The technology turns those documents into programmable assets on blockchain. So every issuance and handoff becomes a verifiable on-chain event that will burn XDC. Now, the scale. Using the number from before, 28.5 billion documents per year, and a conservative 5 events per document, is 142.5 billion transactions per year, or 390 million transactions a day. To give you some context, currently, Ethereum is approximately 1 to 2 million transactions per day. Visa, the card accepted everywhere, is hundreds of millions of transactions per day. If XDC gets only 10% adoption, that's 39 million transactions per day, already dwarfing most public chains. And every one of those events burns XDC. That's all for today. Thanks for watching the Utility Layer. If you found this insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for our next deep dive into how real-world assets are joining the blockchain economy. The future of trade finance isn't just digital, it's inevitable.